What is up, guys? It's Andy Frisella, and this is the show for the realist. Say goodbye to the lies, the fakeness, and delusions of modern society, and welcome to reality. Guys, today we have a real talk, all right? We weren't able to do Q&AF, so we hit you with a real talk today, get the week started right. Look, dude, I'm just going to get right into it, man. I want to talk to you guys about something that literally every single person deals with, okay? And they will never admit it. They'll never admit it. But here's the thing. The reason why most people can't win, the reason why most people are still broke, still soft, still average, still wanting more for their lives and can't figure out why it's not happening. It's not because they don't have all the tools. We live in the greatest age of information that's ever existed. It's because they are too scared to look stupid. That is it. Now, I want you to think about that. I want you to think how ridiculous that is. That means that most people are willing to trade their entire lives, their dreams, their potentials, their income, their relevancy, everything, in order to not look stupid in front of who? In front of a whole bunch of that are never going to do anything their entire lives, okay? Most people care more about looking like they know what they're doing than actually becoming great at what they do. They'd rather stay comfortable and respected at a level 2 than actually look like a beginner trying to compete at a level 10. And that mindset is exactly why they will never, ever move from where they are. Because here's the thing you guys got to understand. Winning demands that you look stupid first. That's the game. I didn't make up the rules. That's just the way it is. You're going to look like a clown the first time you try anything worthwhile. You want to learn a new skill? You're going to suck. You want to start a new business? You're going to look stupid. You want to develop discipline? Guess what? You're going to fail a few times. That's part of the deal. That's the rules. And the people who win are the ones who accept that cost and keep moving anyway. They don't care if they got laughed at. You think that the greatest people that ever built anything didn't get laughed at? You think that the legends that you look up to in sports and business and life, you think they started out like that? You think they just like started up and they were like, oh shit, I'm great at this. That is the biggest lie that we are told about success. Every single person that's ever tried to do anything started off looking terrible. And guess why they became the amazing version of themselves that you look up to? Because they didn't give a f. They didn't give a f what anyone had to say. They didn't care if they laughed. They didn't care if they snickered. They didn't care if they told them they weren't going to be able to do it, because they knew that what they were doing was the most important thing they would ever do. Most people can't do that. And the reason that most people can't do that is because they care way more about their image than they do their future. They want the praise now, not the proof later. It's about instant gratification. Here's what that really means, man. These people, maybe you, are choosing your own ego over actual growth. You're choosing fake status over actual power. And the people you're trying to not look stupid in front of, they aren't even doing anything. They're never going to do anything. So why do you give a shit how you look to these people? Okay? Every master that has ever existed looked like a moron in the beginning. Okay? That guy that you see at the gym with the perfect physique, guess what? He looked like shit the first day he walked in the gym. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know how to eat. He didn't know how to train. He had no idea. He was just like you. That guy that you see driving the car that you want, living in the house that you want, with the business that you want, dude, he suffered. He got made fun of. He got laughed at. He was embarrassed. Okay? He was broke. He was unsure. All of the things that you are. All right? That leader that you look up to, that champion, it doesn't matter. Every single person that's ever been relevant in the history of Earth looked bad when they first started out. They were embarrassed. They felt stupid. The only difference is they cared more about what they were becoming than what they look like today. Okay? They kept going. They kept practicing. They persevered. They ground through the process. They didn't care how hard it was. They didn't care how stupid they looked. They failed over and over and over again. And every single time they failed, they learned. And while everyone else was laughing, they got better. And guess what? Now they're getting paid. Now they're getting respect. Now they're getting results. Now they've become that version of themselves that only they saw in their hearts while everybody else was laughing. And the people who laughed, guess what they're doing? They're still broke. They're still watching. They're still pretending. And they're going to be doing that their whole lives. Here's the truth, guys. If you're not willing to look stupid, if you're going to get hung up on what other people think, you are not capable of winning. Because this test, the test that you pass in the beginning about feeling stupid and looking stupid and having doubt and having people laugh, that is the hardest test to pass. And if you can't pass it, you can't win. And every new level requires this skill set over and over and over again. You start out at level 1, you suck. You master level 1, you got to go to level 2. When you go to level 2, you suck. You master level 2, you go to level 3, you suck. That is the process. So this isn't a one-time thing, okay? You have to stay humble. You have to be willing to stretch yourself. And yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like you are exposed, like you're a fraud. But on the other side of that embarrassment is the elevation that you're looking for. That's where the evolution is. That's where the growth is. That's where the prizes are. Everything comes on the other side of embarrassment. Everything. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to be respected today, or do you want to be impactful forever? Because the ones who win long term, the people who change history, the people who create the greatest stories in the history of Earth, they ate and swallowed all the laughs, all the criticism, all the doubt, all the negativity. And guess what? They smiled and they asked for more, because that's the game and that's what it requires. So be willing to look stupid in front of a bunch of who aren't ever going to do anything, and you will have passed the hardest test that keeps almost everybody exactly where they are.